The Avengers wasn't just a movie, it was a blueprint disguised as spectacle. Physicists consulted on wormhole math, archery differentiated by mind control, and Hydra symbols hid 3 frames deep. These are 20 hidden details in Avengers you completely missed. Number 20. The shawarma post-credits scene nearly didn't exist in the final cut. Filmed secretly the day after the Los Angeles premiere in April 2012, it cost just $20,000 but almost destroyed the entire ending sequence. Chris Evans had grown a full beard for his role in Snowpiercer and had to strategically hide his jaw using a prosthetic piece and careful hand placement throughout the scene. Robert Downey Jr. personally convinced director Joss Whedon to shoot it at 2 a.m. with zero studio approval or oversight. That spontaneous post-credits joke became Marvel's signature move and encoded the franchise's future in one exhausted dinner scene. The scene was shot at Elat Burger, a small restaurant in Los Angeles, with the entire cast reassembled just hours after celebrating the film's premiere. Number 19. When Erik Selvig approached the chalkboard covered in theoretical physics, most audiences assumed the equations were decorative nonsense. They weren't. Marvel Studios hired Caltech physicist Sean Carroll specifically to ensure the math was legitimate, even though the board would appear on screen for less than 10 seconds. Carroll constructed actual solutions to Einstein's field equations, modified to suggest stable traversable wormholes might exist under specific quantum conditions. The calculations included tensor notation, Schwarzschild metric variations, and energy momentum considerations that graduate students later screenshotted for academic discussions. Physics forums lit up with debates about whether the equations could genuinely describe a stable Einstein-Rosen bridge. Carroll confirmed the math was real, though it required negative energy densities that remain purely speculative. Whedon wanted authenticity buried in moments most viewers would never pause to examine. Number 18. Everyone remembers Loki's glowing scepter controlling Hawkeye and Erik Selvig with that eerie blue light burning through their eyes. But rewatch those scenes carefully, and the scepter doesn't always glow blue throughout the film. In several frames, particularly when Loki taps it against surfaces or uses it in combat rather than mind control sequences, the glow mysteriously shifts to yellow gold. This wasn't a lighting error or continuity mistake made during filming. Joss Whedon deliberately planted a clue 4 years before Infinity War revealed the Mind Stone hidden inside the blue casing. According to Marvel's visual effects supervisor, they intentionally programmed 2 different glow colors into the CG renders, knowing most viewers would never notice the subtle shift during their first viewing. Number 17. Loki's scepter glows blue when corrupting someone's will during Hawkeye's conversion and Selvig's manipulation, but obsessive viewers caught something stranger. The scepter also glows faintly during conversations where no mind control is explicitly happening. Joss Whedon later confirmed this wasn't continuity error, but intentional foreshadowing embedded throughout the film. Loki himself was being subtly influenced by the Mind Stone embedded in the scepter, which served as Thanos' method of remote manipulation across galaxies. Even the villain was a puppet, his invasion plan subtly warped to fail by design. Thanos needed the Tesseract retrieved, not Earth conquered. The scepter glowed because it was always working, manipulating its master to ensure the mission's ultimate purpose was fulfilled, regardless of Loki's personal ambitions or tactical decisions. Number 16. Watch the final battle sequence carefully and track the letters on Stark Tower throughout the Chitauri invasion. When the film opens, the building proudly displays Stark in massive chrome letters across the top of the Manhattan skyscraper. As the Chitauri invasion escalates, those letters get progressively destroyed, but not randomly as it appears. The S gets blown off first during an explosion around the 147 mark, then T, then R, then K in a carefully timed sequence. By the time the Avengers assemble in that iconic circle shot, only the A remains standing against the skyline. Production designer James Chinlund tracked exactly which letters would fall in which explosions across months of planning. Whedon encoded the entire franchise transition into exploding signage that most viewers assumed was random destruction. Number 15. Clint Barton fires arrows that curve mid-flight and strike targets he couldn't possibly see. Archery experts analyzing the film noticed something peculiar about which shots followed real-world mechanics. Every impossible shot Hawkeye makes while under Loki's mind control uses techniques that could theoretically work with sufficient skill and environmental awareness. Every shot Jeremy Renner makes after breaking free relies on cinema-style impossible physics. Arrows that change direction mid-arc, trajectory adjustments that violate conservation of momentum. Stunt coordinator Jeff Haberstad and Whedon deliberately directed the action choreography this way to create visual contrast between the two states. Mind control didn't just enslave Hawkeye, it enhanced him, turning instinct into to calculated precision. The archery tells two different stories depending on who's directing Barton's mind throughout the New Mexico base raid and Manhattan finale. Number 14. Joss Whedon wrote the first complete draft of the Avengers screenplay in just 3 days of isolation. Marvel gave him an impossible mandate in late 2010 to combine 5 separate franchises, serve 6 major heroes equally, balance humor with genuine stakes, and create a template for a decade of interconnected films. Whedon isolated himself in a Los Angeles hotel room and handwrote approximately 90% of the dialogue in one concentrated creative burst. He later admitted in the Blu-ray commentary that he basically didn't sleep and lived on coffee and panic during those 3 intense days. Marvel Studios rejected that first draft entirely, demanding more Hulk action and fewer character moments. The famous shawarma joke was invented on day 2 of the rewrite process, then nearly cut, then filmed after the premiere. Number 13. During the helicarrier assault, Nick Fury walks through the destroyed bridge, surrounded by shattered monitors. For exactly 3 frames, the SHIELD logo fragments across multiple broken displays in a pattern forming the Hydra octopus symbol. The alignment is perfect, the timing deliberate. Whedon later admitted this was Marvel's earliest visual hint at the Hydra infiltration that wouldn't be revealed until Captain America: The Winter Soldier 2 years later. Marvel's continuity team, led by script coordinator Will Corona Pilgrim, had already planned the twist. Whedon embedded clues for fans who watched obsessively enough to catch subliminal imagery. Most viewers never paused the sequence. Those who did find a symbol that shouldn't exist yet, hidden in destruction. Number 12. Captain America's Avengers uniform looks deliberately muted compared to his bright comic book costume, because Joss Whedon genuinely hated the original concept art presented by Marvel's design team. When they showed him the first iterations in early 2011, Whedon reportedly called it too Saturday morning cartoon, like Under Ooze for adults during production meetings. He couldn't completely redesign it due to merchandising commitments already locked in with toy manufacturers. Instead, he ordered the post-production color grading team to deliberately dull the reds and blues by approximately 30% in every scene. Compare the brightness of Cap's costume in the final battle to the concept art released in the Art of the Avengers book, and they're radically different saturation levels. Later MCU films gradually restored the comics' accurate, brighter palette that fans expected. Number 11. Natasha Romanoff mentions her red ledger dripping with bad deeds during her conversation with Loki. During her interrogation scene, she lists specific operations: Sao Paulo, the hospital fire, Dreykov's daughter. These weren't improvised dialogue thrown in for dramatic effect. Zach Penn and Whedon himself created full classified backstory documents detailing each mission with dates and consequences. Dreykov's daughter, mentioned as a single throwaway line most viewers immediately forgot, became the emotional center of Black Widow's 2021 solo film directed by Kate Shortland. Scarlett Johansson said she was given access to those confidential files during production, so her performance could carry the burden of specific trauma, not abstract guilt. The ledger wasn't metaphorical, it was a document, and every entry had a story Marvel had already written. Number 10. Robert Downey Jr. hid food everywhere on set and nobody could stop his constant snacking habit. The blueberries scene where Tony Stark casually offers Bruce Banner snacks while discussing gamma radiation wasn't originally scripted by Whedon. Those were real snacks from Downey's personal stash that he'd hidden around the Stark Tower set in Albuquerque. According to Mark Ruffalo in a 2012 interview with Entertainment Weekly, Robert had food hidden in every piece of furniture, every prop, every corner of the set. The props department initially tried to control it, then gave up entirely after weeks of failed attempts. Whedon kept multiple food moments in the final cut because, as he explained in the commentary, it's the most Tony Stark thing possible. He's solving world-threatening problems while casually snacking on blueberries. Number 9. When the Chitauri army pours through the portal above New York, their Neuralink technology briefly flashes purple in several shots. Visual effects supervisor Janik Sirs confirmed the color grading was intentional, specifically matching the Power Stone's signature and hinting at Thanos' influence controlling the hive mind. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige was already planning Infinity War 6 years before its release. The color palette established connectivity between Thanos' power and the Chitauri invasion. Only fans analyzing the film frame by frame in 4K caught the specific hue shift. The detail required enhancement software and obsessive scrutiny, but it was there, planted deliberately by cinematographer Seamus McGarvey, waiting for the Infinity Saga to give it context. Number 8. The Hulk's roar isn't just Mark Ruffalo screaming into a studio microphone during recording sessions. It's a complex audio layer cake mixing Lou Ferrigno, the original TV Incredible Hulk from the 1970s series, recording new roars at age 60. These were combined with lions, elephants, and whale sounds from nature recordings. Ferrigno came into the Skywalker Sound studio for 3 separate sessions in late 2011, providing the raw human vocal aggression needed. Ruffalo performed motion capture screaming for facial muscle movements during his performance capture sessions in Los Angeles. According to the sound design team's behind-the-scenes documentary, each individual Hulk roar required 6 to 8 different animal sound layers plus Ferrigno's voice, all balanced to create something that felt simultaneously human and monstrous throughout the film. Number 7. During the final battle, Stark Tower's exterior displays a timestamp reading 10:23 in several establishing shots. Whedon didn't choose the numbers randomly. Issue 23 of the Avengers comic series featured the team's first battle against Kang the Conqueror, a time-traveling villain whose eventual MCU arrival was already being discussed. Whedon embedded dozens of similar comic issue references throughout the film, hidden in background details only visible when freeze framing. James Chinlund maintained a master list of over 40 significant Marvel Comics issues, cross-referencing numbers with set decoration and dialogue timestamps. Most went unnoticed. A few were discovered by fans who cataloged every visible number and reverse-engineered the pattern. The timestamps were a coded archive of comic book history. Number 6. Scarlett Johansson's interrogation scene, where Black Widow sits tied to a chair, seemingly helpless, then destroys her captors, was filmed in one complete unbroken take. The entire 4-minute sequence, from apparent vulnerability through the chair escape choreography to the final fight, happened without any cuts or editing. The stunt coordinator specifically choreographed the chair movements so Johansson could perform them without stunt doubles or wire assistance. She worked with a Russian dialect coach in Los Angeles for 2 weeks to perfect the Russian dialogue, which is grammatically accurate according to native speakers who analyzed it online. Whedon kept the first take because, as he mentioned in the commentary, I couldn't stop her improvisation. She added these tiny facial shifts that made the whole manipulation visible to viewers. Number 5. When the portal opens above Manhattan, several distant planets briefly appear in the cosmic background beyond the wormhole. Astronomy enthusiasts used enhancement software to map the visible celestial bodies and discovered the planetary positions matched a real constellation, but inverted. Whedon worked with astronomers to construct the view from Sanctuary, Thanos' base, looking back toward Earth through the wormhole. The portal showed both perspectives simultaneously, embedding Thanos' point of view into Earth's invasion. Visual effects studio Industrial Light and Magic collaborated with astrophysicists, including science advisor Kevin Grazier, to reverse engineer what Earth's solar system would look like from a theoretical extrasolar position. Most viewers saw swirling cosmic clouds. Obsessive analysts saw an inverted star map. Number 4. The Thanos reveal in the mid-credits scene was filmed 8 weeks after the movie officially wrapped production, and it wasn't Josh Brolin. Damien Poitier, the film's stunt coordinator, played Thanos in that brief appearance because Marvel literally had no Infinity War plan yet. The scene was pure setup with zero roadmap for future films. Whedon actually filmed 3 different potential villain options during that post-production session: Thanos, a different cosmic threat that was never revealed, and a third option that remains classified. Marvel chose Thanos in the editing room, then built the next decade around that choice. Brolin wasn't cast until Guardians of the Galaxy 2 years later. That smile that launched a franchise belonged to a stunt coordinator who happened to be available that afternoon in 2012. Number 3. After Tony Stark falls back through the portal, his suit depowered and body limp, he wakes gasping for air. His hands tremble violently once the armor is removed. Medical consultants on set knew someone experiencing near death in space's vacuum would exhibit specific physiological responses like involuntary tremors, hyperventilation, and dissociative shock. Robert Downey Jr. requested the shaking be added even though it wasn't in the original script. He understood Tony's character arc required this trauma to feel earned when Iron Man 3, directed by Shane Black, opened with crippling anxiety attacks and PTSD flashbacks. The detail is barely noticeable in the celebratory aftermath, but it's there, a quiet seed planted for a psychological breakdown that wouldn't bloom until the next film. Number 2, the iconic 360-degree hero circle shot where the camera rotates around all 6 Avengers assembled together required 5 days of filming and 73 separate takes to complete. The production needed perfect weather during the Cleveland Street shooting in August 2011, and each day cost approximately $500,000 in location permits and street shutdowns. Chris Hemsworth's cape kept blowing into Scarlett Johansson's face, ruining takes. Mark Ruffalo's Hulk stand-in, a tall actor in a green suit for eyeline reference, had to be digitally removed and replaced with the CG Hulk. The final version you see on screen is a blend of 12 different takes, digitally stitched together with different takes for different characters, combined in post-production. That one shot cost over $2 million in production time and effects work. Number 1. When Hulk punches Thor after they finish destroying the Leviathan together. It wasn't in Whedon's script. Chris Hemsworth and Mark Ruffalo improvised the moment during rehearsal at Albuquerque Studios. Joss Whedon kept it, but the detail nobody caught was added in post-production. Hulk's smirk immediately after the punch was created using facial capture technology by Weta Digital, not practical performance. The animators added the expression deliberately to show Hulk retained enough of Banner's personality to enjoy pranking the God of Thunder. It wasn't rage or instinct, but humor and genuine amusement. The Hulk understood the joke. That single added smirk redefined how audiences understood Banner's relationship with his alter ego, proving consciousness existed within the monster. The Avengers still hide secrets buried in physics equations, color grading, and 3-frame symbols most viewers will never pause to find. Whedon and Marvel built a film designed for obsessive rewatching, where every background detail carried weight and every impossible moment had internal logic. Which hidden detail surprised you most? And what film should we open next?